What's up, YouTube? Ride along with us as we continue our adventure in Wyoming. This episode, we're going to the Bighorns.
We don't need a destination, let's go where the river's taking us.
When we left you on the last episode, we had found camp at Woodchuck Pass. After a great night's sleep, we woke up to a sunny morning, sat around, had breakfast, and just really enjoyed the campsite. Before long, we started packing up and getting ready for another day's adventure. There were a few puddles holding a little bit of water, but for the most part, things had dried up from last night's rain. The trail was a lot of fun the last night, getting down to the creek here at Woodchuck Pass, and it looked like it was going to be just as fun or even better on the way back out. We were really enjoying the tight trails in this area, and the old split rail fence on the lower side was definitely a treat. As we continued our way along this trail, we noticed more and more rocks starting to poke out from the dirt, and it was only going to get bigger and only going to get better from here. This trail so far had been incredible, and up to this point we thought it was pretty much over. But then the trail had more to throw at us.
At one point, the word marooned slipped into his...
We'd made it to the top of the mountain and was making our way across the top of the meadows. Things were still a little bit wet from the snow here, but it wasn't really too bad. After that, things came to a very muddy halt. Well, going through this mud hole, the tire on the trailer had got stuck between two pretty big rocks. I couldn't go forward and I couldn't go backward. So it was time for the other Jeeps to try to get moved around us. They also had their share of problems too. At one point, we thought we were all stuck. Matt was able to make his way through, so we went ahead and hooked the winch line up to him to get me out of the mud. While we were concentrating on getting the Gladiator and the Expedition trailer unstuck, Joe was able to get his around without any further problems. Once we got freed up, it was on the trail again. When we got onto the main Forest Service road, we headed north, and the next stop was a splash dam interpretive site.
With a ground squirrel dangling from its tongue.
Yeah, it had to have been this morning because that cycle was in there and they come in from this side.
Halfway back, he...
Splash dams like these were used as part of the transportation system to get logs from out of the mountains down to the railroads. One of the other treats of the Bighorns is a better than average chance of seeing wildlife, such as this moose. By this point, we have made it to US 14, and it was time to make our way off the mountain to get some fuel and maybe a little bit of something to eat. At the bottom of this incredibly scenic drive was the little town of Dayton, and they had an awesome little old store there with great sandwiches. Just outside of Dayton is a little canyon called Tongue Canyon Road, and we thought this would be the perfect place to set up camp for the night. The problem with Tongue Canyon Road, though, was everybody else thought it was going to be a perfect place to camp too, and they all beat us to it. We made the decision to drive back up onto the mountain and found a great place about a mile just north of US 14. This was also the perfect campsite to set up Aspen's SpotOn GPS fence.
Okay, we required GPS, so we're going to start our fence. And with this one, I'm going to walk it rather than just draw it out.
We did a whole video on how to set this fence up, and it works really good. They do have a couple bugs that they're working on, and that's kind of the stuff that we're doing with them, was we're testing it and making sure that it's going to work perfectly for the overlanding crowd. Once the fence was set up, Aspen was able to enjoy his surroundings, and we were able to relax too, knowing that he wasn't going to run off or be able to get away and get into any trouble. It was then time for Deb's homemade chili, a peanut butter sandwich, and relaxing by the fire. We woke up to another beautiful morning, and I had the opportunity to catch up on some video editing before we broke camp and headed south. We'd checked the Forest Service website and specifically the MVUM maps, and what we were finding is they were shutting down a lot of the roads within the Bighorn because it was so wet. Part of camp last night was researching our map and our route and altering it a little bit. We also knew that we were probably going to end up having to change it even more. Even with the detours, the reroutes, and alternative planning, we couldn't get over just how beautiful this area was. We hit it perfect for the flowers. Now this one also may be commonplace in Wyoming, but it's not for us. We don't just every day see a flock of sheep just wandering about the mountains. Aspen was pretty curious about them too. He really wanted to hop out and herd a few of them. We continued our climb and elevation throughout the Bighorn Mountains. Our next destination was going to be the Medicine Wheel. From the parking area, the sign says that it's a 1.5 mile walk and it's uphill both ways to the Medicine Wheel. Everybody was having a great day, and even Aspen were making friends.
Aspen's like, I'm scared, he's big.
While there are some uphill sections to this trail in both directions, it's still not terribly strenuous, and the views are absolutely breathtaking. This 250-year-old Medicine Wheel is located in northern Wyoming in the Bighorns. It is one of North America's most important and sacred landscapes to the Native Americans. After visiting the Medicine Wheel, it was time to explore some more of these high mountain prairies along the Bighorn Mountains.
Let's try it, right?
Yeah.
We'd stopped to take a break and realized that we had a leak on one of the trailer tires.
So we got a little bit of a leak in the sidewall. I think we pushed a rock in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the air out of the tire, not to take it off the bead, but to be able to force it back just a little bit to be able to get whatever debris is in there out of it, and then we'll just air it back up.
There it is.
After clearing the debris from the bead, we aired it back up and we're right back on the trail.
Like stupid.
As we continued making our way south through the Bighorns, it was getting later in the day and we started looking for camp.
So until
The problem was we were running into more and more road closures, and this one was actually on a main route. So we decided to turn around and head back north to try to find a camp.
And apparently they put even more out.
We continued our way north looking for camp, but all of the campsites that were kind of close to the blacktop were all taken, of course. So we ended up back at a familiar campsite, the one we had actually stayed at the night before. It was perfect, and we set up and did it all over again here. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of our Wyoming adventure, and we hope you'll stay tuned for the next one where we make our way to the Crazy Woman Canyon and go in search of the Outlaw Cave. Until next time, see ya.